Man, let me tell you something right now. I thought I knew what hunger was. You ever been broke and waiting on that paycheck like it's salvation? You counting coins for gas, you praying that card goes through at the grocery store? I've been there, man. So when I first heard that Muslims fast for 30 straight days, no food, no water from sunrise to sunset, I said, hold up, wait a minute. Ain't no way they doing that willingly. I thought maybe it was some old school ritual thing, something cultural, something about punishment or pain. But then I started learning what Ramadan really is. And brother, it flipped my whole perspective on what discipline, gratitude, and self-control even mean. Because this ain't about starving your body. It's about feeding your soul. It's not about what you give up. It's about what you gain. And once I understood that, I said, man, this right here, this is spiritual training camp. See, everybody in this world want to talk about becoming a better person, right? New year, new me. I'm going to hit the gym. I'm going to eat clean. I'm going to meditate. We all want growth, but nobody want to go through the process that hurts. And that's what fasting does. It humbles you. It strips you down. It reminds you that you ain't in control the way you think you are. Because when that hunger kicks in, you start realizing how weak your desires really make you. You start realizing how much of your day revolves around comfort, coffee, snacks, scrolling, distractions. But during Ramadan, you cut all that noise off. You tell your body, you're not the boss of me. You tell your ego, sit down. You tell your stomach, you're going to wait until God says it's time. And that's powerful, man. That's freedom. Most people never taste their whole life. And you know what really got me? How peaceful it all looks. I thought fasting was about misery. People cranky, tired, irritable. But nah, man. When Ramadan comes, you see Muslims smiling. You see families coming together, feeding the poor, praying late into the night. You see folks holding their tongues when they could have snapped. You see patience where there used to be pride. And I asked one of my Muslim brothers, I said, man, how you stay calm when you ain't even ate all day? And he looked at me and said, Steve, hunger don't break you when you know why you're hungry. Whew, that hit me. Because see, when your struggle has purpose, it becomes power. And that's what Ramadan is. 30 days of learning that your purpose is bigger than your appetite. And let's just be honest, we all slaves to something. Some folks slaves to money, some to their phone, some to their ego, some to their comfort. We wake up every day chasing what feels good and wondering why we still feel empty. But Ramadan flips that whole equation upside down. It says you want to feel full, stop feeding everything except your soul. You stop feeding your mouth and you start feeding your heart. You stop feeding your ego and you start feeding your humility. You stop feeding the need to win and you start feeding the need to serve. It's like a spiritual detox, man. All that noise, the greed, the lust, the anger, it starts quieting down. And when it does, you finally start hearing your own heart again. And you know what's crazy? Islam don't tell you to fast just to feel hungry. It tells you to fast so you remember the ones who don't have the choice. It connects you to humanity. You realize, man, there are people who go through this every single day, not for God, because they got nothing to eat. And here you are breaking your fast with a full plate, thanking the Almighty for every bite. That kind of gratitude, you can't fake that. That kind of empathy, that's what builds real community. Ramadan reminds you that blessings aren't just to be enjoyed, they're to be shared. Now, I know some people think, but Steve, it's just food, man. Why make it such a big deal? Nah, see, that's the point. If you can say no to what's halal, what's lawful during the day, then it trains you to say no to what's haram, what's forbidden for the rest of your life. If you can stop yourself from something good just because God said so, you build a muscle that keeps you away from evil when temptation comes. That's discipline, brother. That's spiritual weightlifting. You ain't starving, you training. And that's why when Ramadan ends, Muslims don't just go back to eating. They go back to living differently. They're more patient, more grateful, more generous, more self-aware, because it ain't about the hunger. It's about the change. And the nights, man, those nights of Ramadan, that's something else. People praying while the world's asleep, asking forgiveness, crying in gratitude, reconnecting with their creator. It's like the whole world slows down and the soul finally breathes. You ever had that one night where you just sat alone thinking about everything, your mistakes, your blessings, your family, and you felt both small and blessed at the same time? That's every night in Ramadan. It's not just a ritual, it's reflection. It's like God pressing the reset button on your spirit. And I'll be real with you, it made me think about myself. Because man, I got fame, success, comfort, but when's the last time I went 30 days training my soul? When's the last time I told my desires, you're not in charge? That's what Islam does. It ain't about deprivation, it's about elevation. You let go of food so you can taste peace. You let go of comfort so you can feel clarity. You let go of ego so you can rediscover humility. That's not losing, that's winning differently. And that's why when the month ends, you see tears in people's eyes. Not because it's over, but because it worked. Because somewhere in those 30 days, they found something they lost. Patience, gratitude, self-control, love for God. They found out that the best version of themselves wasn't buried in success. It was buried under their desires. And Ramadan helped them dig it back out. So yeah, I used to think fasting was about staying hungry. Now I know it's about staying human. It's not punishment, it's purification. It's not weakness, it's strength. It's not about saying no to life, it's about saying yes to something higher. And if you ever want to understand what real freedom feels like, try telling yourself no and watching your soul say thank you. Because at the end of it all, Ramadan teaches you this one thing. Discipline isn't about denying yourself joy. It's about teaching yourself where true joy really comes from. It don't come from your plate, it comes from your heart. Now let me tell you what really made me pause. Is how Muslims don't fast out of fear. They fast out of love. Think about that for a second. They ain't starving themselves because they scared of God's punishment. They do it because they love him enough to obey. And that hit me hard, man. Because in our world, obedience is rare. We only follow rules when somebody's watching, your boss, your coach, your teacher. But here's a whole community, millions of people all around the world, waking up before sunrise, whispering prayers while the world sleeps. Not because anyone's forcing them, but because they want to please their creator. That's real devotion. That's what sincerity looks like. You can't fake that kind of discipline. That's the kind of faith that don't need an audience. And what makes it even more powerful, the unity. Man, I've seen a lot of gatherings in my life, award shows, concerts, church services, but nothing compares to the sight of Muslims breaking fast together. Families, neighbors, strangers sitting side by side, passing food, smiling, saying Bismillah. Rich, poor, black, white, Arab, Asian, doesn't matter. Everybody's equal at that table. And you realize something deep, that Islam ain't built on ego, it's built on humility. It's not about who you are out there in the world, it's about who you are in front of God. And that's a lesson the whole world needs right now. You see, when that sun sets and that call to prayer echoes, Allahu Akbar, man, it's like the world takes a breath. You see tears, you see smiles, you see gratitude. And that moment right there, it teaches you something no motivational speaker or self-help book ever could. That peace ain't found in abundance. Peace is found in remembrance. When your heart remembers who it belongs to, everything else starts making sense. And that's what fasting does. It reconnects the body to the soul and the soul back to its source. And I'll tell you something else that amazed me, how the whole rhythm of life changes during Ramadan. The nights become alive with prayer. The days become lighter, calmer. You start seeing people holding their anger, forgiving each other, making peace with those they fell out with. And I thought, man, imagine if we lived like that all year long. Imagine if we controlled our tongues like that every day. Imagine if we fed the poor like that every week. Ramadan ain't just a month, it's a blueprint. It's like God saying, here, this is what you're capable of. This is how beautiful your heart can be when it's clean. And maybe that's the real reason behind it, to remind us that we're more than our craving, more than our habits, more than our mistakes. You ain't supposed to fast just for the stomach. You're supposed to fast from gossip, from anger, from pride. You fast from whatever poisons your heart. Because it ain't just the food that breaks your fast, it's the way you treat people. And when I learned that, I said, man, that's deeper than I ever imagined. It's not about skipping meals, it's about resetting your mindset. You start seeing blessings you used to ignore. That cup of water, that first bite of food after sunset, it don't taste normal, it tastes like gratitude. And that gratitude, it stays with you. It changes the way you look at your job, your home, your people. You stop saying, I deserve this, and start saying, I'm thankful for this. That's the kind of change that don't fade when the month ends. That's the kind of faith that lasts. And you know what else Ramadan teaches? That every person can change, every single one. Because when you see people give up smoking, give up anger, give up bad habits, all in a matter of days, you realize that transformation is real. You just needed the right reason. And that's the beauty of this faith. It don't wait for you to be perfect before you come to God. It tells you, start now, he'll meet you halfway. And you know what's wild, man? Ramadan don't just change your routine, it changes your reality. It makes you see life through a different lens. Like everything slows down, but in the best way. You start hearing your own thoughts again. You start feeling the small things that used to pass you by. The sound of birds in the morning. Your mama smile when you call her. Your child laughing in the next room. All those little blessings start to hit different. You start realizing that peace ain't hiding in some mansion or luxury car. It's been sitting in your heart this whole time, waiting for you to quiet everything else down. And that's what Ramadan does. It hits the mute button on your distractions so you can finally hear God again. Man, when I think about it, the genius of it all just blows my mind. See, most of us, we run from discomfort. We avoid pain. We avoid silence. We avoid struggle. But in Islam, they face it. They embrace it. They say that hunger, that's your teacher. That thirst, that's your reminder. That struggle, that's your mirror. Every rumble in your stomach is like a whisper saying, hey, remember who provides for you. Every time you resist temptation, it's like a rep in the spiritual gym. You get stronger without even realizing it. And after 30 days of that, you come out leaner, lighter, not just in body, but in spirit. You start realizing that the stuff you thought you couldn't live without, you actually can. You thought you needed 3 meals, 6 snacks, constant entertainment. Nah, man, what you needed was clarity. And I'll tell you something, man, that kind of clarity don't come cheap. It comes from sacrifice. That's the part the modern world forgot. We want results without restraint. We want happiness without humility. We want peace without prayer. But Ramadan says you can't microwave spiritual growth. You got to slow cook it with patience. 30 days, sunrise to sunset. Every moment a chance to practice self-control. And you realize real quick that your biggest enemy ain't out there. It's in here. It's your own ego. It's that voice that says, I can't do it. It's that pride that says, I don't need help. It's that laziness that says, I'll do it tomorrow. Ramadan don't let you negotiate with that voice. It shuts it up. It proves you stronger than your excuses. And man, I love how it humbles people. Because in this world, everybody want to flex. Everybody want to show off. But when you fasting, you can't fake that. You're tired, you're quiet, you're reflective. You see the janitor and the CEO both breaking fast with a date and a cup of water. And for that moment, they equal. No status, no ego, just gratitude. That's what God wants, not perfection, but perspective. And I'm telling you, if you can learn perspective, you can learn peace. And that's the thing, man. Ramadan teaches you what success really means. It ain't about how much can I get. It's about how much can I give up for something greater. You ain't chasing luxury, you chasing purity. You ain't chasing attention, you chasing intention. And when you start living like that, you move different. You speak different. You love different. You start walking lighter because you're carrying less nonsense in your heart. And that's why Muslims look so content in Ramadan. It ain't that they ain't tired or hungry. It's that they tasted something. The world can't serve peace that don't come from possessions. And I remember reading this saying of the Prophet Muhammad. Fasting is not just from food and drink. It's from false speech and bad behavior. And I sat there like, man, that's deep. You mean to tell me if I'm fasting, but I'm still lying, gossiping, cursing, losing my temper, I ain't fasting right. That's accountability. That's like God saying, I don't want your empty stomach. I want your clean heart. You see how real that is? That's a standard the world don't have anymore. We got diets, we got detoxes, but nobody talking about spiritual detox. Nobody talking about cleaning the soul from jealousy, arrogance, greed, hate. Ramadan says, you want to be free, start there. And here's the part that really stuck with me, man. How Islam connects discipline to love. It's not a cold military kind of discipline. It's a loving one. Like a parent telling their kid, I'm not saying no because I don't want you happy. I'm saying no because I want you safe. When you fast, God ain't trying to make you suffer. He's trying to make you stronger. He's trying to show you that you already got everything you need inside you. You just got to stop feeding the wrong parts of yourself long enough to let the right parts grow. That's what Ramadan really is. 30 days of pruning your soul. Cutting away the dead branches, the toxic habits, the unhealthy attachments so the good fruit can grow. You don't come out of it the same. You come out reborn. You look at food different. You look at people different. You look at life different. You realize that joy ain't found in abundance. It's found in appreciation. And maybe that's the real miracle, man. Ramadan don't just change your schedule. It changes your standard. After fasting 30 days, the things you used to crave don't even tempt you the same way. You start noticing how empty the noise of this world really is. You don't need to escape life anymore. You just need to live it with purpose. That's the gift God gives in Ramadan. Not food at sunset, but freedom at sunrise. But see, here's the thing about Ramadan that really got me thinking, man. It ain't about the 30 days. It's about what happens after the 30 days. Because anybody can change for a month. Anybody can put on their best behavior for a short time. But what Ramadan really asks is, what kind of person are you when no one's watching? When there's no spotlight, no applause, no countdown. That's the test. Because after Eid, life goes right back to normal. Bills due, deadlines wait, and people getting on your nerves. But now you got this new version of you, cleaner, calmer, wiser. And God's saying, all right, let's see what you do with it. That's when you find out if Ramadan just touched your stomach or if it touched your soul. And I think that's beautiful, man, because life itself is kind of like Ramadan. We're all just fasting from this world, holding back from sin, holding back from selfishness, waiting for the big feast that's waiting on the other side. You wake up every day in this world thinking it's permanent, but it ain't. It's just a test. Just like fasting, it's temporary. And when you start living like that, your priorities change. You stop chasing every shiny thing. You stop arguing about nonsense. You stop trying to prove your worth to people who don't even care. You realize your peace is sacred, your soul is expensive, and you stop selling it cheap. That's what Islam teaches, that this life is just a bridge, not a palace. You don't decorate the bridge, you just cross it right. And I'll tell you this, I admire the discipline it takes. I mean, come on, no food, no water from sunrise to sunset for 30 straight days. That's strength. But even more than that is faith. You got to believe there's a reward bigger than your appetite. You got to trust that God sees you when nobody else does. And you know what? That's the kind of faith this whole world is starving for. We're living in a generation that can't even wait for the Wi-Fi to load. And here's a billion people saying, we'll wait for God's timing. That's powerful, man. That's real strength. That's a whole level of patience the world forgot existed. And what moves me even more is the joy they have doing it. You think fasting would make people bitter, but nah. Muslims be smiling, gathering, feeding each other, breaking fast together, giving charity, cooking for neighbors. It's community, man. It's family. It's gratitude. That's the kind of energy this world needs. They ain't walking around saying, look what I gave up. They're saying, look what I gained. Peace, focus, gratitude, humility. That's what they gain. And that's the part people don't see on the outside. Ramadan ain't about deprivation. It's about elevation. And I think that's what God been trying to show us the whole time. That the stuff we think we're losing, he's actually using to shape us, using to humble us, using to draw us closer. So maybe fasting ain't just about food. Maybe it's about freedom. Freedom from everything that controls us. Habits, egos, temptations, the need for validation. When you can look at temptation dead in the face and say, not today, that's freedom. When you can wake up tired but still pray because your soul's stronger than your excuses, that's victory. And maybe that's what makes Ramadan so beautiful. It reminds us that we're built for more than comfort. We're built for character. We're built to serve something higher. We're built to believe even when it's hard. And when you live like that, when you let faith guide you more than feelings, life stops being random. It starts making sense. You start walking in purpose instead of just wandering in pleasure. That's when you finally understand what Islam means when it says, this life is a test, because a test ain't meant to break you. It's meant to prove you. So the next time you see a Muslim fasting, don't just see a hungry person. See a fighter. See a believer. See somebody who's training their soul to remember what really matters. Because when they break that fast, it ain't just food they're tasting. It's gratitude, it's victory, it's peace. And if you can carry even a little bit of that energy, that discipline, that humility, that faith into the rest of your year, then brother, sister, you already winning the bigger game. Ramadan might end on the calendar, but its lessons, those stay written in your heart forever.